Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. If Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Hello, we are in episode 144. So you're just never going to have sex again because you don't like your body. And my special guest is Dr. Nikki Coleman. She's an award-winning licensed psychologist, sexologist, founder of Dr. Nikki Knows. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Welcome. And you reached out to me and said, look, this is the topic I want. And I'm like, yes, I want all those words. Because that is true. And I literally was thinking about that recently. Like, I did a body image episode maybe 18 months ago. And I was just like thinking about that again. Like, body image is just this real thing with us.
Yes.
And when it comes to sex and our romantic life, it's like once you bring that in, ooh, there's a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
anyway, tell us about yourself.
Let's get into it. So,
Yeah.
hi, I'm Dr. Nikki. I'm a licensed psychologist. I have a private practice that's based in Houston. Although it's fully virtual, I see clients across the country, and
Yeah.
I work primarily with high achieving Black women on their relational and sexual wellness. And wouldn't you know it, but issues around body image and specifically how they relate to body confidence, sex, self confidence, feeling good in your body, experiencing pleasure come up a lot.
A lot. Yeah. And so how did you get into it? Was it pretty much because it came up a lot? Did you have a personal experience with it, or how did you ever
With
get into it?
with relational and sexual wellness overall, like my overall practice?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I am a former academic. So, I got my doctorate in counseling psychology in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
My work really around Black women and sexuality started
Awesome.
then. My work as a researcher was a lot around race, racial identity, media consumption, sexuality for Black women. Uh,
Yeah.
and then when I launched my private practice full time, I knew that was the area that I wanted to go in specifically because there's a lot of great therapists out there, but we get very little, if any,
Mhm.
especially at the psychologist level, of any specific training around sex or sexual wellness.
Yeah.
So, because of sex, because of
Mhm.
how still stigmatized I think it is, especially for Black women to own their
Talk about
sexuality,
it. Yeah.
you could be in therapy and doing really great work, but your therapist may never specifically invoke sex, sexuality, pleasure. And so
Yeah.
I wanted to really make sure that the space that I work in names that. So there's no question that it's a brave space to be able to unpack some of that stuff. And I think you
Yeah.
just is to be able to do that.
That's really good because you're right. Us providers, therapists, doctors need to be very comfortable asking questions like that. And I feel like I'm definitely comfortable asking that. And I'm like the parent who's comfortable talking to my teen about
Yes.
all about sex. And I say like with a straight face, like, look, are you doing this? Is this going on? This is
Mhm.
what it means. But a lot of parents don't feel that way. And of course, as we're talking about women and their bodies, a lot of us don't feel good about owning our sexuality. So what does it really mean to own your sexuality?
I think it means that you have an understanding that sex and pleasure are a priority for you
Yeah.
and that you are not only willing but invested in
Yeah.
being continuously curious about that over the course of your lifetime. That you understand that you can have sex with partners to experience pleasure together, but that is not a prerequisite or a necessary function for you to experience pleasure on your own.
Mhm. Oh my god, this is such an exciting topic. There's too many directions I can go into from what you just said right
Yeah,
now. And so I'm just gonna pick the religion one real quick to jump right into that because
absolutely.
a lot of people who are Christians or whatever type of religion, I say Christian because I'm Christian, and it's usually that one, where they're like, "Well, no sex before marriage, you're not supposed to do this. How dare you be curious about your body?" All the masturbation, that whole thing. So how do you deal with, clients or help clients work through that? Is has that come up? I imagine
Oh,
with
surely. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm not Christian. And so with all of my potential clients, I always do a consultation
Mhm.
and I'm fully transparent about that, right? So there's going to be some viewpoints that sometimes my clients hold that just I do not hold. And
Yeah,
so need to be aware that the way that I think about things, the way that I approach conversations around sex may not be in alignment with their experiences. And that doesn't mean that I invalidate their experiences at all, but
yeah.
that likely will be a challenge, some
Mhm.
questioning around, asking them to unpack some things that they've made assumptions around in the work, and that
Yeah.
can be uncomfortable, and not everybody's really interested in that. Specifically, part of the reason why I do work as a Black woman with other Black women is
Mhm.
I am not Christian. I understand the significant impact of Christianity with regard to respectability politics. It's almost like culturally embedded
Yeah.
high achieving Black women around how you maintain an image, if you're allowed to even be a sexual being. I
Yeah.
remember, being a high achieving, intelligent girl. I went to magnet middle school,
Mhm.
magnet high school. The expectation was that I was going to go to college, right? And I remember having some cousin ask me, "Oh, you seen anybody? You got anybody that you like?" And my grandmother was like 3 rooms away, and she
Uh-huh.
leave her alone. Don't ask her about that. That girl go to school, and I was like, "I can
Ah,
go to school and like boys like at the same time." Like
exactly.
so,
That's hilarious.
So again, it might not even be that you grew up in a specifically Christian home, but I think that those values are very deeply embedded in Black culture.
They
And then there
are.
are clients that have been very much indoctrinated in specific purity culture or very restrictive ideas
Yeah,
about
yeah,
women's
yeah,
roles and
yeah.
especially women with regard to their sexuality. And here's the thing, that stuff is internalized, it's
Yep.
baked in more often than not before you are even old enough to be able to say whether you accept or reject it. And
Yeah,
so then fast
yeah.
forward, you could be 25, you could be 45, you
Mhm, mhm.
looked at it, thought about it, unpacked it. It's still showing up in your body. It's still impacting your relationship to sex, shame,
Yeah.
pleasure, advocacy, all of those
Shame.
things.
The shame. This is really good because the same way religion and of course, I'm not knocking religion, of course, like I said, I'm a Christian myself, but the same way religion has made us say, "Oh, let's pray about it. You don't need a doctor, you don't need a medication, you don't need a therapist. Pray
Yeah.
about it. God will give you everything you need." What you're saying is also is that religion can do the same thing about our bodies and what we're
Mhm.
allowed to do sexually, and to put this shame in us, "Oh, how dare you have self-pleasure or
Yes.
how dare you even have self-pleasure even though you're married, that kind of
Yes.
thing, or have multiple safe sex partners,
Yeah.
or BDSM, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's some
Oh,
safe BDSM communities out there, right?
yes.
But then religion can kinda knock that, and whether you continue to believe or not, it definitely puts some shame, and that can lead down a road of mental illness itself.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, indeed. And I think that, again, this is why I'm really explicit about naming and talking about sex and relational wellness both in my practice is because the stuff is there, whether
Mhm.
you've explicitly, like, I think a lot of times people think about sex therapy, meaning there's a dysfunction, right? But
Mm.
it might not necessarily be a dysfunction, but it may not be that there's a lot of times that a lot of what I'm doing is education. About sexual response cycle, about desire, about
Yeah,
arousal, about sometimes even actual body parts,
yeah,
um, that people have not gotten because their parents, their mothers have been silenced because they've been shamed or how
yep.
they never were taught. And then a lot of that comes along with giving your pleasure to the male, right? So you
Mm.
need to appeal to the male gaze, you need to be
Yeah,
pleasing to your husband, and then,
yeah.
of course, if he's good, then you should be having good sex, but it is so
You
much
gotta be
more
pleased
complicated
too
than
as
that.
the woman, and it's okay to be pleased. It's okay to let him know that you aren't being pleased. Communication is key. But you're right, women are made to feel like, "No, it's sex is for the man, not for me." Let's see, I think Doctor
Okay,
Nikki is
I'll be
frozen.
back.
Oh, you were frozen for a
Okay,
second.
yes,
I
we
thought
were
you were
and
just,
then
like, into what I was saying, like, "Mm."
No, and everything blacked out on my end. I was like, "Whoa, is it me?"
Well, you were just a frozen image for me. But yeah, just pretty much saying how, like, us women sometimes are just made to feel like it's sex is for the man and not for us.
Mhm. Yes, I think that is I mean, that whole idea about saving yourself for marriage, and then there's all this also this expectation that once you're with the right partner, then, of course, the sex is gonna be great, right? But
Oh,
love is the no. I
that's
I
not
just
on.
recently had a conversation and someone said, like, "Sex is love and love is sex," right? And I was like, "No, like, those are not the same things."
Yeah, not
Yeah.
really. So,
No.
well, let's talk about the topic. So, you just
Yeah.
never gonna have sex again because of your body. So, what
Yes.
do you see? You don't have to name numbers and stats. If you have numbers and stats, that's fine. But
Yeah.
what do you see out there? Are a lot of women feeling like, I don't like my body. I don't want anyone to see it. So, I don't want to have sex. What do you see?
Absolutely. Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, that phrase came from my own experience, like, in me checking myself. I had my daughter later in life. I was 37 when I had her, and 37, you're already in the perimenopause, like, process, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
the process of, like, birthing and, like,
Yep.
gestating a baby did a number on my hormones, my body, like, all
Mhm.
the things. And I remember being just really frustrated with trying to get into some clothes one day,
Yeah.
postpartum, and was like just going down that rabbit hole, right? Because there's so much that gets associated with your own value and worth just about how your body looks, right? That's
Yes.
the body image part. They're so,
Yes.
like, deeply tied. And so I'm spiraling down, like, I need to be taking better care of myself. I can't believe I've been eating like this. I shouldn't, like, oh, da 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 da. And then I remember thinking, like, wait, so you don't like what you see in the mirror? You think you're never gonna get naked? You think you
Yeah.
sex again? Is that what we really saying? And I was like, "Wait a minute.
Sex is sex.
That's a step too far. Like, we need
Yeah.
to bring we need to bring it back. I have to figure out this
It's
body
good.
another kind of way," right? And so that was sort of
Yeah.
my reality check, and that I bet I get a lot of clients that come to work with me specifically because there is a desire discrepancy, pleasure discrepancy in their relationship because their
Mhm.
husbands are wanting to be with them
And
sexually.
they're not caring about their bodies. The
And
husband's
the
not
husband
caring.
does not care, but it's in the
No,
wife's
there should
head,
be some.
right? She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, my stomach, well, I've gained weight and I don't really want to," and so it puts all of these constraints on sex, which constrains the pleasure, which constrains the intimacy and the relationship, all because of the body
Restrains her and
that we're in.
ultimately restrains the relationship. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because 'Cause you're all in your mind. I mean, nobody's up there saying, "You're fat, you're ugly, you can't have sex, I don't wanna have sex with you." The husband's over there or the spouse, whatever it is, over there wanting to, but you are creating these thought traps in your own
Yeah.
mind.
Yes. And then, being in your head even throughout the experience, right? And so
Oh,
then you're not in your
yeah.
body, right? Because you feel disconnected from your
Oh
body.
my goodness, that whole thing.
Yes, right? So then your
Yep.
mind is like this. So it becomes a chore and it just really can become this really toxic cycle that gets lost in the sauce all because your body doesn't look the same.
Exactly. So I'm glad you brought the pregnancy because that was the other branch I wanted to go down because I definitely had that. I was 37 when I was pregnant with my first child,
Okay.
and I gained I think I started out at 190 anyway, but I was 247 at the highest during the pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes.
Mm.
You gonna laugh, and I need to put this picture up, but I definitely look like Fiona from Shrek. Like, everybody's like, "No, you didn't. I bet look at you. Look, Imma text you. See?" I
Oh,
definitely did. My nose was the size of a football field, and, oh my god, it was, like, dark, you know, I had gestational diabetes, so you get, like, dark and everything,
yes.
and, I definitely wasn't trying to have no sex. You pregnant, I'm all sweaty, I feel like I stink, you
Yes, all the
know?
things.
And, I mean, I remember him not caring. Of course, we did have sex, not a lot, because I was sick anyway,
Yeah.
so there was a
Yeah.
lot of sickness during that pregnancy,
Mm.
but I definitely can relate to that because 'cause I'm just like, "Ew, I
Yes.
feel disgusting," or "I am" it could turn into, "I am disgusting," and then that could
And
turn into depression.
that's exactly the spiral that it goes down. A funny story is there like a lore in my family is my mom, uh, when she after she had me, I'm an only child, so after she had me, like, when she was kinda waking up, Everybody swears the first thing she said was, "Did my nose go down?" Like, because I
See? Well, and you what is how does the nose even do that? You know that was possible?
Yes. So, I think the piece that's really important, especially about what you just named, there is a toxic cycle, and
Mm,
the bigger arch that I see, whether it's specifically the body stuff, what I can also see is a lot of times with my clients, they get stuck in the version of themselves when they were 25, 27, and everything was different. And so they assume, well, I'm an adult, so sex should be this way for the rest of my life.
yeah,
And the
that's
reality
so true.
is your body's gonna change one way or the other. It might not be weight gain, but your body changes over time,
Mhm, mhm.
and your relationship to your body changes over time,
Yeah.
as so should your relationship to yourself as a sexual being. The things
Mhm.
that interested you or maybe turned you on at 18 shouldn't necessarily be the same things that are turning you on at 38 because you've evolved, right?
Yeah.
If you've been in a committed relationship, monogamous relationship, 3, 5, 7, 21 years,
Mhm.
you all have to keep changing things to stay engaged.
Mhm.
So, got a little one there. I wanna,
He just barked in. And,
I
usually
want us to start to think
yeah.
about our relationship to our bodies as factual rather as like this character deficit, this issue that something is wrong with me. And therefore, that's where the depression comes in. That's where the anxiety and that's where the self judgment comes in.
Yeah, exactly, and so you were talking about how we evolve too, our sexuality, and usually with women like with men, they just start out high sex drive, and it seems like usually with women over time, we get the high sex drive the older we get, so there's also that too, so, like, learning like, "Oh, wow, now I actually wanna have sex, how do I do that, and how do I actually love my body when I'm doing that?" And then how does that translate to feeling safe too? So how often is "I don't feel sexy" actually code for I don't feel safe or confident in my own body?
Yeah. So I would reframe a couple things. I think that we are sort of conditioned socially to think that men's sexuality or libido functions differently than women. And the research doesn't necessarily support that. What I believe is men are allowed to be sexual beings earlier on
Yeah.
than women are. And so therefore they're able to develop a healthy normative
Mhm.
relationship to their own pleasure. That like there's been study after
Good
study
point.
that looked at gender and sexual orientation with regard to pleasure and orgasm, and heterosexual men, gay men come out on top. Like the likelihood that they will have sex and not have an orgasm is up
Yeah.
of 98%.
It's allowed, yeah.
And whereas you look at heterosexual women, we at the bottom of the barrel at like
'Cause you're
63%.
I mean, you're made to look like a slut, a whore, all the words,
Correct.
right? And that's not
So
that's
it's the
it.
mental game, right? It's what you've been allowed to think of. And that's the other piece about the body. When we look at who's described as sexy, who's allowed to have access to that, the bodies look a very specific way. They do not look like mine. They don't. They certainly don't have gray hair. They, like there's we have these images that we are bombarded with all the time about who's allowed to experience that pleasure.
Exactly. I was gonna ask about that too. It's like, at what point did women start believing their bodies have to look perfect to deserve pleasure? Like,
And
obviously, it's the social everything's social out there.
absolutely, yes. And I think that, like, that is the craziest part to me because we somewhere decided that aesthetically pleasing equaled pleasure.
Yeah.
And, like, I have talked to a lot of women about sex. Like, some of the things that we think we want the most, like a big, tall man, oftentimes,
Mhm.
one, what they working with ain't what people would think, like, the proportions are not often the same. I'll say that, right? Or oftentimes, like, when when you've been lauded and appreciated for your good looks,
Mhm.
oftentimes that relational component has not fully developed, right? There may not be a lot of depth there. There may not be a lot of opportunity to develop intimacy and
Yeah.
interpersonal awareness because people have sort of objectified you. So it really kind of runs counterintuitive
Exactly.
to how we are socialized, right? Now, I also say
Exactly.
everybody should be having sex with someone they're attracted to. I'm not
Yeah,
saying you shouldn't be attracted, but I think we have to start to shift
yeah.
what is attractive
Yeah,
and
because
then we
everybody's
can have
attractiveness level
standards
is
for
different.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at all these dating shows, like, what was the last one I was watching? Well, Love Is Blind, I watch that one all the time,
Woo.
and I think it was that one, yeah. So, there's, like, women that, like, certain men are paired to, and you think, "Oh, yeah, they're gonna get along great. She's great looking,"
Yeah.
but the guy doesn't like blondes and skinny chicks, he likes voluptuous dark chicks. So it's like, huh, or the other way
Right.
around. Maybe you don't like voluptuous, or do you like the thin chicks? So it just really just goes down to what you're attracted to. And a lot of people are attracted to full figured women and voluptuous women and things like that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And I think we really, I do worry about the space we're in with regard to social media and presentation, right? And image. And I mean, a lot of those people that are on the dating shows are either influencers or wannabe influencers, right? So they
Oh
fit a certain
yeah.
aesthetic. And I think we're all sort of being indoctrinated to sort of look for that. And it also happens that it's not necessarily what they're attracted to, but what they've been told they should be attracted to.
Yes.
There's a bit of superficiality that goes along with that, especially with Love Is Blind, because if you spend all this time in the pause getting to know someone and you ready to pop the question and say yes, but then all of a sudden they don't look how you thought.
Love is not blind.
So yeah, I'm not dismissing the impact of body and body image and who you're attracted to. What I'm saying it has to be a data point among other data points,
Yeah,
right?
for
People are
sure.
not sustaining long-term, joyful, fulfilling relationships just because they both are hot. They could both be hot, but they got a lot
You
more
still
going on.
have issues. Look at all these hot celebrity couples that don't, like, stay
Oh,
together.
correct.
I was just looking at Jada and Will, I'm just like, "Oh, they're so hot. How do they not stay?" But that's the hotness doesn't do it. That's why you see
No.
some people, end up marrying like a what did he say? Just a regular everyday
What they
citizen.
say, medium ugly.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
it's a normal person. Like when
Mhm.
somebody on Love Is Blind, when the couple looks normal, it's like, I'm like,
Yes.
"They'll make it."
Yes. This is what normal looks like. That I do think we forget that. That was part of my other process too when I was a mom of a preschooler, like toddler preschooler who wanted to we live in Houston. She wants to go to the pool. And I was like, I'm not gonna be one of those women in the like moo swimsuit. Like I'm gonna be out here. I'm gonna have
There it is. I
and
love when women do that.
yes. And I started
Love
looking around like
it.
bodies are weird. Like, everybody looks weird if you look at them long enough. Like, it's true.
I feel like I've thought that, but not articulated that. Cause like, when I'm on cruises, like, people could care less what they're wearing. I just remember staring at these ladies and just look at them dancing, look at their bathing suits, and they just don't even care what they look
They
like
do
right
not
now, and
care.
I'm like, "I don't care what they look like. I'm just happy they're happy," you know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So you're talking about relationships too. So what happens to a relationship when body shame becomes that barrier to intimacy?
Yes. I mean, it really does cause all types of unnecessary tension,
Mhm.
emotional disconnection.
Mhm.
It can create deepening sense of insecurity in the relationship, lots of like stress. So then I can see oftentimes where the sex sort of becomes like a responsibility
Yeah.
or and then I could also sometimes see where the men feel like, "I don't want to feel like I'm begging you to have
Yeah.
like, I want you to feel desired because I desire you. I want that to be enough. I want to,
Yeah.
like, feel close to you."
Yeah.
And so I feel rejected
And
because
they give
you
up.
have your stuff going on. Um
Mhm.
and I think, so in the relational work, it becomes around having real tools to be able to talk about
Yep.
those deeper issues, right? Let's move beyond the surface and
Mhm.
really what the rejection is, what the discontent is, how we can work together differently. And
Mhm.
for the women, you have to do some hard work. Um, I if it was a matter of just saying, "Oh, no, I love my body," then everybody would do it, right? And so it does require some self-reflection, like getting down to
Yeah.
it. Um, and I like to work with women to sort of like work from the bottom up. Like, what are the things that you love about your body?
That's
Right.
good. Just start there. Not what's wrong with you. What do you like?
What do you
Right.
love about your body? Right.
Mhm.
Beyond it, like serving a function for you, what else do you experience and appreciate in the body? Because
Mhm.
we are human beings, we cannot have a human experience without being embodied.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you're
You
not
need your
embodied, you're
body,
spirit. Like, so
your vehicle through life.
yes, it's here.
Gotta have it.
Love her, treat her
Might as well
well,
love it.
right?
Exactly.
And find the pieces that you can't connect with,
Mhm.
get really, really comfortable with those, and then keep building. So I talk about skin tone, skin color, skin texture,
Yeah.
parts of your body that love to feel caressed. How does it like to feel caressed? What are the parts of your body that light you up? What's your, if it's not your facial features, what is this? Have you looked at your shoulders?
Mhm.
Like, oil yourself down, like, start really
Yeah, that's
re-engaging in a love
self-care.
yes, with your body.
I
Don't
do
just
love
treat
that. I
it,
love body oil
putting
and
on the
body
lotion
butters.
and, like,
Yeah.
get
You do that with your exactly.
get
Yeah, I'm so
into it.
obsessed with body butter now, like, well, not now, but, like, in the last couple years, yeah.
Yes, yes.
That is so funny. So if we talk about the how do we separate the body we've been told we should have from the body we actually live in? Like, how do you work with your clients about that?
Yes. I actually have some, um, guided experiences that I walk them through, and mirror work is
Ooh.
one of them. Like,
Ooh.
standing in the mirror, like, getting in your body.
Mhm.
Starting with getting grounded and
Mhm.
getting in the right headspace, being in a place where you can have compassion for yourself,
Mhm.
recognize that it is a source of discomfort, but you are not, beholden to just giving into that discomfort, right? You have the tools and skills and resources to be able to shift this for yourself.
Yeah.
And to stand in the mirror, look at yourself naked. Don't just
Yep.
look at the body, but really look at yourself, right?
Mhm.
And get curious about re-engaging your relationship with your body. Don't look at it with critique. And even that is hard for women, right? A recognition
Mhm.
that for every like negative, we have to have 5 positives
Oh, I like that.
reinforced, right? So as
Yeah.
you're noticing those oh, my belly, pause.
What are the 5?
Right. Say 5 other things about that. What, oh, this belly actually carried a baby.
Oh, that part.
Oh, I remember the first time my husband
Stretch
caressed this
marks.
baby,
Oh,
this
yeah.
belly, naked, right?
Mhm.
Oh, there's that little ticklish like, really rewire and
That's good.
re-engage your relationship with the body, and recognize that when those sort of like, ugh, those feelings come up, that this is an opportunity to redefine that, and we can be self-compassionate about that. And that I asked them to do that for, like, 5 minutes. Pick a time where they could do that, and
Yeah.
then reflect on that. What was that like? What did you notice that was different? Did you hear voices talking to your body that weren't actually yours?
Mm.
And can you disinvite them from being part of
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
So, like,
Just invite
getting
them.
more refined and more detailed, because it's not just like, I don't like how I look."
It's
It's
more to it. It's so
way
much.
more to that, right?
Mhm.
And being, and allowing them to know it's okay to have an accountability partner, right? To be able to say, "I don't wanna do this," or like, "I just wish it was over," or, "Can I just, I don't know, do a juice cleanse?" You could, and then the body gon' still do something else, right? So,
Exactly. It's always some I mean, there's stuff you can control and there's stuff you can't. The
you
stuff you can control,
cannot.
fine. Lose the weight, but don't obsess about it while you're doing it. You can't do it too
Yes.
quick. Do it in a
Yes.
healthy way, but otherwise
Yes.
I was just looking at, Dr. Shomo Knows, just like you, Dr. Nikki knows. She's
Oh,
Dr. Shomo Knows. She's a primary care physician,
okay.
and she just said on her one of her stories, she was just like, "I just spent the day telling my patients to keep a little weight on them, so, because it's healthier. I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay."
I like
So,
that.
it's not about being skinny, like, you gotta have a little
No.
for different reasons.
No, it's not about being skinny, it's really about being healthy,
Yeah.
and, like, being at a normative weight that makes sense for you,
For
right?
you.
For
Is I
you.
Oh my gosh, because like, even me, like, I've been according to my BMI, I've been overweight for so many years, and people are just, "How
I'm
do you
looking at
weight?"
you, I'm like,
I know, I
"Overweight
need
wait."
my BMI is 26. That's considered overweight. So I've noticed that it's the thighs, that's what it is. When people are like,
Mm.
"You look skinny." No, like, it's a big thighs. So,
See?
anyway, but that's the thing, football players, they be in my, what, 30 or something like that, and
Right.
they're healthy, for the quotes, 'cause, but it's just you can't look at the numbers like that. Yeah.
No, no, the numbers really should not define you. And I think that
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about over the course of time, right?
Mhm.
So, the body that you were in when you were pregnant with gestational diabetes,
Fiona.
it took care of you.
Yes.
It took care of you. It got your baby here.
It did what it needed to do to
It
bring
did
the
what it needed
baby,
to
that
do.
healthy
So
baby
how could you be
crying.
mad about that?
You can't. I
Like, at the end of
know.
the day, are you telling me that you would much rather have maintained looking good and said, "Forget this baby"? No! Like like, we really have to start to unpack, what are we really saying here? And then recognizing that that version of your body does not exist anymore.
Exactly.
So you need that
Exactly.
that's the piece around over the course of the lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I look like when I was 13, 14, I look at my daughter's body now, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "She killed him." I'd be like,
I know, they naturally have it.
8, right? Like, I love seeing that as she develops. I've watched her be she was a preemie. I had preeclampsia. She was
Mhm.
42 pounds. She was
Mm.
underweight until she was 8 years old, and it would finally everything started to, like, normalize for
Mhm.
her. So she was teeny, teeny, tiny, underweight. They had me going to see specialists, all I was like, "This thing eats." Like, that's not the body that she's gonna have forever. She's of
Mm-mm.
an average weight now. She has her dad's metabolism, but her body shape is like mine. I don't know what it's gonna look like at 45. So we have to stop, like, trying to keep us trapped in this
Yeah.
time warp in our
Yeah.
head and know that bodies are designed to be reactive, responsive to the environments we're in, stress, the foods that we eat, the people that we're around. Nothing is staying the same. So if
Nothing. Yeah.
you allow your sense of pleasure, your sense of being embodied, your sense of joy, like you talked about,
Mhm. Joy.
to be connected to some static past moment in time, you're giving
It's not
away
gonna
your
help.
power.
Everything changes, everything evolves. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, question. Now, have you worked with transgenders or gender dysphoria? Because obviously there's a lot of own your sexuality or
Mhm.
issues with owning your sexuality with that. And if you have worked with them, what kinds of areas do you work on with that with them?
Yeah, so I have trans clients that I work with. I've worked mostly with trans masculine clients, either as individuals or they're in a member of the couple that I'm working with. And a lot of times the issues around sexuality and body dysmorphia are what come together, right? So
Yeah.
we um reintroducing themselves,
Yeah.
figuring out again how to align their sexuality in their, like, experienced mental sense with the felt sense in their bodies, what they feel like they have access to in terms of their actual
Yeah.
genitalia,
Yeah.
if there is any type of sex reassignment or
Mhm.
hormones or anything introduced. And that work is actually a lot of what reinforces the work that I do with cisgendered and heterosexual women is because it really is about the mental
Yeah.
experience and really
It's all
about
mental.
felt like felt sense of self, right?
Mhm.
That idea that actually I define what is right or not right for this body, what feels good, what feels doesn't. And it's a really interesting process of, like, mental mapping different things,
Yes.
right? and
Yeah,
having to also work around we rewire. Actually, some of those neural networks have to get rewired around that and
for
talking
sure.
about safety, right? What
Mhm.
good? What do you feel like you could allow someone to have access to? How do you negotiate with your partner if things change for you in the middle of something? How do you advocate for yourself in those
Yeah.
moments? And so
Yeah.
they have to be more intentional about it, more thoughtful about it. It really does help me better inform my relationships with my working relationships and interventions with clients, and we never have to think about it, right? Everything is aligned for us
Exactly.
to take it for granted.
Yeah, a lot of this takes mental work, and then when we get into sex and trauma or our bodies and trauma, there's a lot of mental work that needs to be done. So I imagine you work with individuals that dealt with trauma, sexual assault, rape, all the things, and of course, they're dealing with, like, their bodies looking a certain way or feeling less worth, less, body respect and things like that.
Mhm.
Where do you start?
Yeah, so sexual trauma is a huge part of the work that I do, whether
Yeah.
that is in um, childhood sexual trauma or
Mhm.
intimate partner trauma,
Yeah.
the range of things, right? And so
Mhm.
one is helping clients distinguish between what is normative reactions and what is trauma, talking about how sexual trauma is not the same thing as sex, that it is an act of power, it's an act of control, it's been a
Yeah.
violation and a sense of violence, and that the work that we do in trauma recovery is about helping them have a felt sense of control over their bodies,
Yeah.
about being able to reclaim their own pleasure on their own terms. And that oftentimes can,
Good.
there's this concept called sexual non-concordance,
Mm.
where what happens physiologically for you doesn't match what's happening for you intellectually,
Ooh, okay.
or
What's an
vice
example of that?
vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? And so because, sometimes it is not uncommon that, sexual assault or sexual abuse survivors have experienced physiological arousal or experienced pleasure
Yeah.
at the hands of, especially if there's been coercion or if it's happened in childhood.
Mhm, mm,
So how to learn to distinguish between your body
mm,
at physiological reaction versus your consent, versus your will,
mm.
versus your willingness, versus your own sense of embodied pleasure.
Yes.
So,
Therapy,
and I use
therapy,
brain
therapy.
spotting as
Brain
a
spotting.
yeah, as a trauma recovery reprocessing experience with my clients, and so doing that work also, allows the trauma recovery to happen in the subcortex, so we don't always have to, like, go here. Most of the time with
Mm.
my client, I'm not asking them to rehash the details. That's
Yeah.
important about how you wire and realign your relationship to your body, experience safety in your
Mhm.
body, advocate for your control, all of that work.
Oh, that's great.
None
That's
of that is
great.
happening in 3, 4, 5,
Good
6.
work, and no, it's not. Not even in 12 sessions,
Right,
like,
correct.
if you gotta be in therapy for 20 years, that is just fine. Some people have a maintenance therapy. That's
Yes.
your work is awesome. One more question. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so many areas, sex and pregnancy, sex and transgender, sex and
Yes.
religion, sex and all the stuff. Toys.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all Imma say. Oh.
It's like you wear earrings, you wear accessories, you wear like, you got flats, you got heels, you got boots. Why would you not have toys? Like, I don't understand. Like, what there's this line from this, kids movie, it was like, "One of the things that distinguishes humans from animals is the ability to accessorize." Like, so, I call them sexcessories. Like,
Hey,
yes, they
wake
can
up and
have
smell the roses.
yes. Bring it along for the ride. It's not a substitute, it's not a competition. And if the goal is pleasure, whether it's solo sex, whether it's partner sex, if the
Yeah.
goal is pleasure, why are we not gonna give ourselves the best opportunity to have pleasure?
Yeah, for sure, and maybe that can help you get out your head because 'cause you're over here thinking about, "Oh, he's gonna see my left love handle while he's touching me, even though it's
Girl,
dark,"
not looking
and,
at it. He ain't thinking
just
about
put that
that.
just put that toy on, you forget all about that and some thoughts.
He is not I'm here to tell you, he's not worried about that.
And the toys are safe. I've had a couple of, guests come on, we talked about, that, so I'm gonna have to put that in the show
Yes.
notes
I mean,
'cause
take
I
get them from reputable
Mhm,
places, keep them clean, wash them, keep them
that
charged.
part.
Don't be switching across partners, right? Like basic hygiene. thoughtfulness, respect towards our
Yes.
amazing. Yes.
Yes. Thought about that switching across partners thing. That's people need to know about that.
Yes, that's nasty.
That's a good one.
That's how you get disease, okay? Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, unless you're married, I guess is it okay as long as you're married? Not saying I do that. I don't do that, but
No.
that out of
No,
my
no, no,
sense.
no. Wash them every time. That's just the general rule. And buy new ones. Don't keep, like, the same 2 in the
Say
drawer.
what for 10 years, no?
Switch it up. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to ask you about the sanctuary. We didn't get a chance to bring that up. Tell
Yes,
us what
yes,
that
yes,
is.
yes. So that is a way that I'm trying to be responsive to the fact of where I am in my life with regard to perimenopause at age 50 and the
You're
relationship.
50?
Oh, I'm 51. I will
Why
be
do I
52 in
always get
July.
surprised by black girl magic? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I will be 52 in July. It's sooner than I think, and that's a whole thing, right? Like, how is this 52, right? But my relationship to my own pleasure and sex has changed over time, and the sanctuary is wanting to acknowledge more of that full embodiment of
Yeah.
intimacy, pleasure, authenticity, self
Yes.
bringing all of those things into it. And so one of
Yeah.
the other things I'm doing is offering group therapy in my practice
Mm.
because I think that a lot of our healing, especially as Black women, we've been doing in silos. And I think there's a lot of power to being able to see that your experiences really is not that different from someone else, and that we can often learn from each other, grow in ways that we can't if we're only doing our individual work. And so the sanctuary is a way to bring in those all of those pieces for fully grown women, and for us to be able to do work together. So it's interpersonal process groups. So we talk about relationships. We talk about
Gotcha. Is it a Facebook group or how do
no,
you
it's a therapy group. So you would be
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Therapy group. Got
yeah,
it. Okay. I read about it in your bio. I want to know more about it.
yes,
Okay. Oh
yes.
my gosh, Dr. Nikki, maybe we should have a part 2 and 3. I just keep coming up with all these questions. I promise you
It's
it's the last
I'm
question.
never bored. I'm never bored, and there's so much for us to talk about. So I would love to come back
I
anytime.
know, but I'm still gonna ask this one anyway.
Okay.
Sex at 60, sex at 70, sex at 80. I don't know how old your oldest clients are, but of course you 80, you could gonna be feeling some kind of way about your body and like, I'm
Yeah.
just never gonna have sex. But
No.
there people are having sex at that age.
Yes, they are. And listen, here's the thing: when you get through the perimenopause and then you're in menopause, there is a resurgence that happens, right? And then there's also
Mm.
this piece of like, well, I done lived this long, F it, right? Like,
Exactly.
I'm saving what for who? Like I don't
That's what
care
I'm
if you're
saying. I
50
feel
or
like you
not.
get to a certain age, that whole wait till I get married, especially when you've been married twice already, it's like, come on, just
Yes.
sorry, Lord, but just
So, no, there are women that are in their 70s and 80s, and that's the thing, I want people to be having pleasure across the lifespan. Now,
yeah,
is it
yeah.
always intercourse at that age? No. It's if it is with
Assistant.
assistance, right? So, erectile dysfunction certainly
Yeah.
increases with prostate issues over the course of time or whatever,
Mhm.
and even with, postmenopausal women, sometimes along with vaginal atrophy and lubrication.
Mhm.
So we
Dryness.
gotta
Yeah.
switch it up,
A
but
lot of
toys
stuff.
are there. But
Yeah.
this is the other piece that I always advocate for with my clients, regardless of the age, is let pleasure be the focus and the goal. Take off the expectation for intercourse, take off the expectation even for orgasm. If the orgasm happens, great. I'm never gonna say you shouldn't. But we get so goal focused. And so if you're able to
Yeah.
build your relationship to pleasure and experience it in all types of ways, when you are 70 and 75 and 80, you can still have pleasure. It just might not look the same. The hips don't
Yeah.
and they used to, the everything don't look
No.
like they used to, but that don't mean they not having a good time.
I mean, despite the urinary incontinence, despite the uterine prolapse, just push that thing back up in there. It's okay. You can still have sex. Check in with your doctor.
Toys, right? Again, right? So the more that you can do on the front end and working through all of that shame, the question you asked before about owning your sexuality, that's the stuff that lasts a lifetime. And I certainly
Mhm.
plan on having sex at 75 if I'm around, at 80
Hey,
if I'm around. Like, why would I not?
I'll say we will be around.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's good, okay. Well, good, and so the very last thing, absolute last thing, 'cause we can't not talk about this, you have a pleasure pursuit journal. Tell us
I
about that,
do,
where
and
we
I
can
didn't bring
get
it
at.
with me on this. I'm on
I was looking for it, I like to show off, like, books
I
that my guests have.
know. I'll have to send you one. So, yes, the pleasure pursuit is a planner and journal because in this world, we're all busy. We have at least a full-time job and a side hustle or a podcast, or if we got something going on, we're responsible for taking care of all the things. And what I find is our pleasure gets deprioritized. It gets lower and lower on the list. It gets to be this thing that we sort of say will come later. And the pleasure pursuit is a way to help you switch that relationship to pleasure, help you prioritize
Nice.
it by
Mhm.
actually putting it on the calendar, but also having the opportunity to be reflective
Mm.
about what are the things that are bringing you pleasure at this point in your life.
Mhm.
What are the things that you're curious about? Are there things that's kind of been on your even sexual bucket list, but it's like never come up, right? Because it just like
Mm.
so the journal gives you like a structure around being able to really be intentional about bringing pleasure into your life on a weekly basis. So it's pieces in there for 52 weeks for a year. Then it's not calendared, so you can start at any time.
Mhm.
And you set your own pleasure affirmations for the week. You set your own pleasure theme for the
This
week.
is
Things
awesome.
I love it.
This
I
goes
actually
a lot in line with joy. Schedule your pleasure, schedule your joy.
yes,
Yes,
schedule your joy. Absolutely.
we
Yes.
have to do that. Well, as I ask all of my guests, Dr. Nikki, what has your own personal journey to joy been like?
Oh, it's been actually amazing. A recognition that life is going to do what it's gonna do. Like none of us come out of
Yeah.
this joint unscathed is what I
Life,
say,
life,
right?
life, lives.
Life lives, right? And sometimes it can feel we can sort of look around and feel like we're getting it worse than others.
Mhm.
But the reality is the joy is always available to us no matter what. And that when it really learned to like root in and center around joy, to seek out even simple pleasures, to remind myself that everything is here for a purpose,
Mhm.
that gave me such a level of calm and
Awesome.
control and ownership over my life. And so, my daughter and I talk all the time about our ability to find the joy. Like, we're gonna laugh,
Yeah.
find a little joke,
Nice.
we're gonna do that for each other no matter what. And so I feel like that's the thing that keeps me going, just a reminder that that's my very right as a human being to have pleasure, to have joy, no matter what else is happening.
Everybody needs to hear that and know that for themselves. You deserve joy. Say, I deserve joy, however you need to do it, and then
Yeah.
schedule it. Thank you so much, Dr. Nikki.
Thank
It's been a
you so much for
pleasure having
participating.
you on here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Hang on after the credits. This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I'm licensed in 13 states. I accept Aetna in Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoy Note to help you on your wellness journey. Also, check out Inspire Joy for the wife, mom, boss to help you balance it all without losing yourself. Better yet, get the full Joy bundle for just $45. Remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, may you continue to transform stress into joy.